Why you might reincarnate as a violent perpetrator. Dear viewer, the cosmic dance of death and rebirth has captivated human imagination since the first fireside stories were told beneath star-strewn skies. Like autumn leaves carried on the winds of eternity, souls spiral through the great wheel of existence, sometimes floating gently toward enlightenment, other times tumbling through darkness toward malevolence. The notion of an in-between state, often referred to as the bardo in Tibetan Buddhism or the interlife by modern spiritual theorists such as Michael Newton, is a realm where the soul reviews its past experiences, reflects on its missteps and selects its next incarnation. Now, among the most perplexing questions echoing through the halls of spiritual inquiry is this. Between incarnations, if we consciously select our next earthly role using free will, what twisted alchemy could compel us to choose the path of the violent perpetrator such as a tyrant, a torturer, or another type of bringer of unbearable suffering? Part 1. Interlife Crossroads, Soul as Architect. Many belief systems that include reincarnation, such as New Age, Theosophy and esoteric Western traditions, Spiritism, Vedanta and Tantra Hinduism, and ancient Gnostic and Hermetic traditions, suggest that souls do have some degree of choice or influence over their next incarnation, often with the counsel of spirit guides or soul groups. However, it's generally not seen as a simple, human personality-driven choice like picking a new outfit. Picture the space between lives as a vast celestial library, where the book of each soul's journey lies open. Here, according to many New Age and esoteric traditions, the disembodied consciousness reviews its accumulated wisdom and transgressions with the clarity that only comes when freed from our earthly human meat suits. Some philosophies, particularly those rooted in New Age thought and certain schools of Hinduism, propose that at this juncture the soul exercises its divine prerogative by selecting parents, circumstances and challenges like a master playwright crafting the next act of an epic drama. Yet this raises a thorny theological dilemma. Why would any enlightened being, having tasted the nectar of higher wisdom, deliberately script itself into becoming perpetrators, such as Adolf Hitler, Ivan the Terrible, John Wayne Gacy, or Jeffrey Dahmer, or less famous perps for that matter? Part 2. Crucible of Consciousness. Violence as soul-making fire. One compelling interpretation, New Age, process philosophy and theodicy Kabbalah, suggests that even the darkest roles serve the soul's ultimate evolution. Like a master swordsmith folding steel through fire and hammer blows, the universe sometimes employs extreme measures to temper consciousness. A soul might choose the mantle of perpetrator not from malevolence but from a profound need to experience the full spectrum of its potential and to know itself as both destroyer and healer, both demon and saint. Consider the warlord who, after lifetimes of conquest, finally sees the sacredness in every life he once took. Or the abusive parent who, in the afterlife's merciless mirror, confronts the generational trauma they perpetuated and begins the painful work of atonement. These are not random punishments, but carefully calibrated soul lessons, where the searing pain of wrongdoing becomes the furnace that forges wisdom. In another direction, some spiritual philosophies, such as Theosophy and esoteric cosmology, Kabbalah, Gnosticism and Catharism, propose that extremely challenging or negative roles are sometimes taken on by highly evolved souls as selfless acts. These dark knights of the spiritual realm might volunteer to embody aspects of humanity's collective shadow, bringing deeply ingrained societal patterns of violence and aggression to the surface for universal reckoning. This is a concept fraught with moral complexity, suggesting a level of spiritual sacrifice almost beyond human comprehension, where a soul willingly takes on the burden of collective negativity to accelerate the spiritual awakening of others. They become the painful catalysts, the shocking alarm bells that force humanity to confront its own brutality and seek a higher path. Part 3. Sacred Bargain. Souls in Collaboration for Growth. More controversial is the concept of pre-incarnation agreements, found in New Age, Theosophy and Anthroposophy, Gnosticism and Hermeticism. This is the idea that souls consciously enter into cosmic contracts with one another, to play opposing roles for mutual evolution. In this mystical framework, the murderer and victim, the torturer and tortured might be eternal companions, taking turns carrying the sword and receiving the wound. The perpetrator becomes a dark angel with their brutality serving as the whetstone against which other souls sharpen their spiritual virtues. These virtues include forgiveness in the face of injustice, courage in the shadow of oppression, and unconditional love when confronted with unimaginable cruelty. Dear viewer, this perspective requires delicate handling, for it dances perilously close to justifying the unjustifiable. The pain caused remains real and devastating regardless of any soul-level agreements. Part 4. Fall from Grace. When souls lose their way. Some spiritual philosophies such as Tibetan Buddhism, classical Hinduism, Theosophy and Anthroposophy, Spiritism, Gnosticism and Hermeticism warn that not all choices made in the interlife are rational or enlightened. In certain reincarnation models, a soul may be clouded by unresolved emotions, driven by impulse rather than wisdom. Like a gambler placing bets on a wheel of fate, a soul may blindly stagger into a violent existence without fully grasping its consequences. Perhaps as an attempt to defy destiny or as an ill-fated desire to test boundaries. Another tragic explanation lies in the concept of spiritual entropy, which is the gradual dimming of a soul's light through successive lifetimes of poor choices. Like a once brilliant lantern whose oil slowly drains away, a soul that consistently chooses power over love, domination over compassion, may eventually lose the capacity to choose wisely. In this deteriorated state, the between-life selection isn't a conscious decision, but a gravitational pull towards circumstances that mirror the soul's inner distortion. The violent perpetrator in this scenario isn't a brave explorer of darkness, but a drowning swimmer, so entangled in the weeds of their own malice that they can no longer see the surface. Their crimes become both symptom and cause of their spiritual degradation, creating a feedback loop that can only be broken by catastrophic suffering, extraordinary grace, or total extinguishment of the light. Part 5. Paradox of Justice. Punishment or opportunity? This brings us to the thorny question of justice. If souls choose to be perpetrators, does this negate the need for earthly accountability? Most traditions answer with a resounding no. The law of karma operates with mathematical precision. The murderer may have soul-level reasons for their actions, but they will still reap the human consequences with interest. Spiritual growth never comes through avoiding responsibility, but through facing it with eyes wide open. Imagine a student who deliberately fails a test to learn the value of education. Their failure serves a purpose, but they still must retake the class. Similarly, the soul who chooses a difficult incarnation for growth must still endure that incarnation's full weight of experience and consequence. Part 6. One psychological take. One possible answer to why a soul would choose darkness lies in the concept of the shadow, a term coined by Carl Jung to describe the repressed or hidden aspects of our psyche. Perhaps in the realm of reincarnation, souls choose to embody their shadow selves, not to indulge in malevolence, but to confront and integrate the parts of themselves they've long suppressed. Part 7. Unanswerable Paradox. Dear viewer, we now circle back to the great mystery of why a soul would choose to become a violent human meatbag. Like ants puzzling over the footsteps of giants, we strain against the limits of mortal understanding. Yet the question haunts us because it strikes at life's core dilemmas of the nature of evil, the utility of suffering, and the reach of redemption. Is the perpetrator a lost soul, a cosmic provocateur, or a higher self with a mission? Whatever the answer, this truth remains. The actions of the perpetrator demand earthly justice, even as their soul's journey stretches towards some distant dawn. And here lies a paradox. We must hold ourselves with both accountability and grace. The actions of a violent individual serve as a stark reminder that our choices carry significant weight. However, they also stand as a testament that our spirit is never beyond repair. The wheel turns, the story unfolds, and we, whether victims, witnesses, or participants, are left with no definitive answers. As we grapple with the enigma, let the question reshape us, illuminating our journey through the intricate passages of our own existence where transformation awaits.